Hello, beautiful seekers, and welcome to Moon Magic and the Libra full moon happening on April 7th into the 8th, 2020. This is a powerful one, my friends. It really is a powerful one. And I have always found that Libran energy and the Libran full moon every year around this time is really potent and powerful. Like always, 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 always. And, it's interesting because I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how in pop culture, Libra is understood as the diplomat, the chilled out one, the one that just wants, is indecisive and doesn't want to step on anybody's toes and just wants things to be easy breezy and social, right? And, that's one aspect. But I think actually there's a truth bringing element to Libran energy that can be quite relentless. When we have energy moving through air signs, what that's going to do is it's that sword energy, right? It's the sword energy of cutting through into a truth, cutting it through into the way we think, into the way we communicate, into the way that we as human beings in this planet use our vibrational thoughts and words to make spells. So we're not messing around with cutesy little things here, despite, sometimes the cutesy way that Libran energy is put out there when we talk about pop astrology, right? Libra and the Libra full moon always happens during Aries season as well, the season of the warrior, where the sun is transiting through a really powerful rebirth time of initiation and determination. So the sun and moon are opposing each other here, right? Sun in Aries, moon in Libra, 18 degrees of each of these signs. And of course, full moons illuminate what it is that is shifting and what it is that is no longer serving and what is falling away. So, in the context of the fact that just in this last moon cycle, right, we had a lot of change. The world, we've all kind of culminated here into this next reality. Okay, here we are. So this moon phase is definitely going to be shining a light on what's no longer working and what's falling away. And Libran energy, like I said, can kind of be a truth bringer, a truth teller, can kind of challenge us to really look at how we're holding on to who we think we need to be, who we think we need to perform as, who we think we are supposed to be. All of that's getting challenged, right? I was thinking about it too. Just even the time of year, this moon is happening right before Good Friday, right before Easter. Even if you don't celebrate Christian traditions, and I know many, that's a complicated area. That whole idea of death and resurrection is really powerful this time of year. We're getting very close to May Day as well, with the rise of the May Queen on May 1st, right? So this moon, I think, has a lot of tie-ins to all of the symbolism of the death and the rebirth. And that's another reason why I often find the Libra full moon to be challenging, to be incisive, to be clear, crisp information just kind of coming at you like a spotlight. And so that's not the only thing going on, of course. This moon is in conversation, and this moon is doing some really important conversations. And yes, I will say this. It is doing two things. On the one hand, it is asking us to challenge the way we've been dreaming and feeding into our dreams, our fantasies, our escapism. And is that working for us on the level of when we come back into our bodies, when we come back into our lives? Whatever we're feeding in that part of ourselves that's escapist or fantastical, great part of ourselves, is going to affect the way we move through the world on that more grounded, day-to-day mundane level. So there's that going on. This is also going to be a moon that incisively looks at power structures and what is working and what is absolutely no longer working. So first level here, moon is going to be quincunxing Neptune at 19 degrees of Pisces. That's a really close degree placement. Quincunxes are challengers. They aren't about balance. They're not about rhythm and harmony. They're about where something feels a little out of balance, where something feels a little out of whack. I think right now, that double-edged sword, so to speak, with that Libran energy, but the double-edged sword of Neptunian energy is this. On the one hand, it can take us to these beautiful, expansive, connected places. Neptune wants to take us to the esoteric, the hidden, the magical, the psychic. He wants to do all of that, and he wants to make sure that we're riding that beautiful wave. However, the shadow side of that is that, it's so expansive, it's so huge. If we feed into the darker tide of that, the fear, right? The scary stories. The scary stories of being locked away, hidden forever, being ill, being taken away, these kind of almost horror stories, they're kind of beautiful and they're very seductive and they're intriguing, right? Can be very tempting at this time when you have a moon speaking to Neptune in this way, in this quincunx fashion. There's a really big seduction to the hidden and the dark there, right? And I think, being an 8th house Leo, like my sun is in my 8th house, my Mars and my Mercury are all in my 8th house. I love a good spooky story. I love a good, underground narrative. So I get, our fascination with some of those deeper, darker themes. But right now, kind of be aware that quincunx is going to be washing up both the beautiful expansion and those places where we're a little bit addicted to the dark narrative, where we're a little bit addicted to the narrative that pulls us into dystopian fantasy and into disempowered, passive fantasy as well, because that Neptunian energy can kind of be like, this is happening to me and I'm just stuck in this ocean and this wave and it's coming for me. So that's going to challenge you. And I'm really excited about that, actually, because this is the kind of dialogue I love to have when energy comes up. But it can, a lot of emotions can arise from that type of quincunx. The other thing that's going on here is that Pluto and Jupiter are talking. This is a really rare conversation. Jupiter takes around 13 years to make his way all around. Pluto takes much longer than that. So when they meet, it's very rare. And they have been talking, they're kind of talking for several weeks here, close to each other in Capricorn, continuing to do the shadow work with power, with control, with systems of control and power. And what's working for us there. And I think this is really important when we talk less about our individual level and our collective societal level. Pluto and Jupiter right here are kind of, they're meeting in the inner sanctum and they're saying, okay, we got to get together and we really got to look at this. What power is working and what power needs to crumble. And this works, of course, on the inner eternal sovereignty level as well. If you have an inner dictator that tends to lash at you to make you get things done, to make you productive, or to do the right thing, and that's one of the only ways you have to motivate yourself, that inner dictator is getting challenged here with Pluto and Jupiter in conversation. But it's also challenging authoritarianism on the global level, on the community level. It's challenging this idea that transformation, positivity, positive outcome, and good thinking come from authoritarian rule. It's challenging also this idea that in order to do the right thing, in order to do the beautiful thing, in order to do the kind-hearted thing, in order to be well-educated and thoughtful, that it has to come from a place of fear in order for that to happen. Jupiter and Pluto are going to put you right into that place where that belief that you have to be afraid in order to do the right thing, you should be afraid of others, that others are only doing the right thing because of fear, and to completely choose otherwise. Because power and control is pretty flimsy when it's based on fear, right? And power and control are pretty flimsy anyway. That was never the goal, right? The goal was to let and allow in beautiful perspectives. And the goal was to open ourselves to the beauty of the universe rather than latching down and putting ourselves in that tower right? So this conversation is really speaking to that. It's also sextiling Mercury at 25 degrees of Pisces. So Jupiter and Pluto are sextiling that conversational Mercury. And this has everything to do with the stories and the narratives we tell ourselves. So you tell yourself that the only way this world is going to get better is if everybody's afraid all the time and we feel that fear. But this sextile is saying, what if scary things happen in the world? Uncertainty happens in the world. Unknown happens in the world. And we still become kinder and warmer and loving. What if answers come in the form of a softer dialogue? And that is a really important part of this journey. It's, as much as you may want to feed into some of that darkness, because Jupiter Pluto is not messing around, there's a real lesson here. This moon is showing us the contrast, right? It's going to show us those kind of icky, heavy, dark parts of our thought processes and the way this situation is making us feel. And that even continues because Mars and Uranus are in a perfect square during this moon as well. Mars at 5 degrees of Aquarius, Uranus at 5 degrees of Taurus. Two fixed signs, two very powerful energies that tend to be a little bit spontaneous, aggressive, wild, right? These are very intensive energies to be in a square, and they are challenging the impulses and the way we react to constraint, to power, to limitation, to imprisonment. And the call here is like you're feeling the contrast, right? You're feeling the contrast of maybe power systems, the power system of fear, the power system and the narrative of collapse, the idea that what comes up must go down, the idea of linear progress, all these ideas that are very structural, form-based, square kind of conversations, right? I mean, I'm literally talking about like angular cubes, right? Just like put on things, cookie cutter shapes and feelings, like these uncomfortable placements, all of that coming up, and you being able to see with clarity that those were just fed to us, and they are ideas and concepts that have built over many, many generations, and have kind of formed into what they now look like. But we don't have to choose them. This is very revolutionary energy. Once again, this Libra full moon wants to take us all the way to our points of discomfort, to our places that we would normally turn away from. Maybe we would be too busy to look at them. Maybe we just would prefer to avoid them and to sit with them. I know many of you know, but one of my favorite thinkers, leaders, Martha Beck, just did this beautiful talk this week on her weekly thing called The Gathering Room. You can see it on Facebook or YouTube, where she was talking about, she had a huge wave of anxiety this past weekend, and had to sit there and do an exercise, which she can go through with you. But she was saying, the whole idea here is to go into the wave. You see a big wave coming toward you, and if you're trying to run away from it, it's going to like pull you under, take you around. Going toward the wave, you learn to ride it, right? And to go into these places where normally you would try and avoid it. You would say, it's bad for me to go in here because it's what I will become. That narrative of don't question these things, don't look at these things, because if I look at them, if I sit with them, if I give in to that emotion, if I let myself question this anxious response, this fearful response, this controlling response, that it will then have more power. And the truth is, and this moon is really inviting this over and over again, that if you go in and you sit with it and you give it a little space and you commune with it, it has less power over you. You see it for what it is, and that illumination allows you to dissolve old power structures within yourself and within your natural reactions, and helps you to step into a more empowered place. This moon is kind of like a big thunderstorm, right? You know what I'm talking about. Those big thunderstorms that sometimes come where it's just like torrents of rain, lightning, thunder. It's at night, and it feels super powerful. You can't sleep. You're just laying there listening to it. And the next morning you wake up and the birds are singing and the sun is peeking out and the air smells really clean. And yeah, you look around and there's a lot of like trees, there's a lot of branches down on the ground and maybe, a little bit of damage around, and it's a little overwhelming, but at the same time, it feels like this lightness of being. That's kind of what this full moon feels like to me. A big thunderstorm clearing the air. It is electrical. It is challenging. It is asking for attention, to be at attention. I think it's interesting too because we haven't been working with a ton of air energy in the recent months. And right around this new moon or full moon, a lot of air energy is happening. We have the full moon in Libra. We have Venus in Gemini now. And we also have Saturn in Aquarius. All three air signs have important transits happening during this full moon. So that also speaks to our storytelling abilities, right? How we use our intellect to choose our own adventure in life. How we use our thinking brain to actively master new narrative storytelling techniques and not just relying on the ones that have been written for us already. All right, Page of Pentacles came out. I'm going to pull two more. There's a lot of opportunity in this kind of challenging contrast moon. Six of Swords. Oh yeah, we can't bring our baggage with us. We can't bring our old thoughts with us. This is not a time to stick with the same programming. We are flipping channels here. We are flipping frequencies. The knob is getting turned. And King of Pentacles. Okay. And I don't know if you can hear, but of course I'm working from home and I have neighbors, they're at home. There's a young 2-year-old just next door and parents are home. They're having the ride of their lives. So if you're hearing some crying and some talking in the background, that is what that's all about. I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. Okay, so Page of Pentacles, Six of Swords, King of Pentacles. I love this. Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. You know what I think about? I think about investments. And yeah, of course, you can think about like the stock market and instability of value and perceived value and what value is and what money is and what security is, right? All those questions coming up at this time. Absolutely. What is grounding? What is security? What is health? What is well-being? What does any of that mean? It's all getting thrown up in the air and recalibrated. Libra moon is going to do that. It's going to reset the scale. What does value mean, right? So the question of relative value is huge right now. And the Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles are absolutely talking about that. Absolutely. And when we reevaluate what authority means, what control means, what fear means, when those concepts and the way we interact with them shift, and when we start to act from a place of kindness and love and compassion, and that's why we do the right thing, and that's why we show up for each other, not because we're getting told to be really afraid and in trauma in order to do the right thing, which I am so tired of being told that I should be in trauma to be doing the right thing. I should be in fear in order to do the right thing. I think that's BS. But when we are getting told to reevaluate all of that, that's when new value comes to be. And this is a really great time to invest in nourishing thoughts. This is a really great time to invest in nourishing ways of seeing yourself. And it does take determination, because you're going to get bombarded by messaging that says it's not okay for you to value yourself right now in the middle of this crisis, right? And there's a lot of great messaging too. I'm really proud of everybody, because there's been so many beautiful messages and kind messages and empathetic messages, and just you look at anything, but there's definitely an equal amount of messaging that wants you to feel bad right now, wants you to feel bad and scared. And the Page of Pentacles and King of Pentacles can say only nourishing thoughts, only nourishing thoughts can come with us, because that's what's going on here. Six of Swords, one of my favorite energies. Six of Swords doesn't come up when we're doing something that works for us. It's amazing, we feel good, it's great, and then we're like forced to leave it. The Six of Swords comes up when it is something that is killing us. It's something that is weighing us down. It's a direct opposition to our soul growth. The Six of Swords is when we are ready to cross that river into new territory. We are ready to be determined, to be clear, to put our sights fully on that new horizon, and that new horizon only. I've been having a lot of water dreams recently. Literally, crossing rivers. I actually had a dream of crossing the ocean last night in a giant ship. It was really, really vivid. And actually, one of the things that came up is I had this satchel with me full of manuscripts. I'd written manuscripts from others, books, and I was really clinging on to these written records. I didn't want to lose them. I was holding on to them, but I kept being forced to leave them behind somewhere on this giant ship and losing them. And I couldn't bring these records with me anymore as I was crossing the ocean on this long journey. And I woke up from it realizing that, certain ways of writing ourselves into the story, of perceiving ourselves, perceiving our journey, can't come with us at this time. Not all of it. Not all of it's getting scrapped. Very specific aspects of how we value our time and our energy, how we value our life, how we value our communities, and how we value our time and our energy are coming up for review at this time. And we are being asked to leave some of that baggage behind at this time. This is a moon that, while it has contrast, while it will dredge up discomfort, while it will bring up questions of value, of stability, of what it means to be at home, what it means to be a part of the physical world, it is also an open door inviting us to really see from that bird's eye view what power and fear and repetition really are, which are pretty small items that we can quite honestly choose to leave and start actively writing new stories. And so this moon is 100% just saying that is the only thing that can come at this time. It is a truth teller. I tell you what, I know I am going to for sure be taking it really easy on myself those few days around this full moon and trying my best to get a lot of rest and meditation in so that I can take in whatever that contrast may be, because I've learned, I can sit here a week or so ahead of an event and kind of look at it and feel through it and intuitively feel it. But on a personal level, as I am sitting through a transit, often really surprising new revelations and information will come to me at that time that I hadn't pre-written. Shocker, right? It's amazing how, my little human mind wants to pre-write everything, and then that divine, subconscious, connected part of myself has something so much more powerful and vibrant planned for me when I relax into it a little bit more. I would say with this energy, because there's a lot of air, electrical energy in there, it's very much like a thunderstorm, like I said. Finding grounding, finding ways to ground yourself, quite literally, doing feet on the floor meditations, even doing like Shavasana, the pose at the end of yoga where you have your whole body and you feel it melting into the earth. All of those are really good at this time to kind of become the lightning rod where that lightning strike of the Libran energy can come through you. Those are all really helpful techniques. If you haven't joined me on Patreon, I would love to see you over there. I will be doing a new moon full moon activation over on that channel where we're going to get a lot more of the day of messages coming through that I'll be sharing with you, as well as maybe a worksheet or two. It's a really great resource if you're trying to navigate this time and you're needing a little bit of extra soothing support. I would love to be there on that journey with you. I hope you all have a beautiful full moon. You can find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop, and you can work with me. I will have just opened up some May spots for readings, so I would love to work with you if you're looking for a safe space to explore some of these themes, what's coming up in you, and how to kind of activate into your next self. I would love to be the conduit for that and create the space for that with you. So I will leave my booking link below as well, and all the goodies. I am sending you so much love, and I will talk to you all very soon.